Hey everybody, it's Amy. How are you? Hopefully doing very well. Today is Wednesday, February the 10th. Had a hysterectomy surgery on January 28th. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. I haven't really felt like doing a video. I was going to try to do one while I was in the hospital, but I just didn't feel like it. The recovery thus far has been much easier than my last surgery, which was the VSG, 2 hernia repairs, and my gallbladder taken out. So slowly but surely I'm getting abdominal organs removed. I wasn't as nervous this time going in. I was a little bit nervous, but I kind of joked with the doctor. I was like, oh, I can go home, you know. And he's like, well, you know, if you really want to go home, you can. And then, my dog. And then I talked to him and I said, well, you know, I bled for 8 days, stopped for 16, and then bled for 10. So he's like, nah, I don't think you should go home. I think you should do this. So when he came in, Daryl was there with me and we were talking for a few minutes. It was funny because we were just talking about my ovaries, and I said, oh, I should have asked him if I could keep my ovaries. And then a minute later, the doctor pokes his head back in. He says, oh, by the way, are we taking your ovaries? And I'm like, that was so weird. So I asked him if both ovaries had cysts on them, and he said no, that it was only one. And I said, well, can I keep the healthy one if it's healthy? And he said yes. He said, I'll tell you what, when we go in, if I see anything at all that concerns me, I'll take them. If they look okay, I'll leave them. So, I mean, you can't get better than that. So I said, okay. So we went in. He went in. After surgery, came back and told me that I got to keep both ovaries, that the cyst they saw in the ultrasound wasn't in the ovary, it was in the fallopian tube. So they took that. Took the cervix, took the uterus, but left my ovaries. So that made me feel wonderful. I was glad. So I really haven't had like any menopause kind of symptoms. I have been irritable a little bit. I have had some times where my face feels hot, but I don't think that's really necessarily like menopause kind of things. But so before anybody says, hey, if you kept your ovaries, you're not in menopause, I know, but your ovaries can have a shock from the surgery and not work. So it's like you have menopause symptoms for a little while and then it comes back to normal, or whatever your new normal is going to be anyway. So anyhow, I got to keep my ovaries. They took everything else. I don't know about both tubes. I know one tube they took, but I don't know about the other one. But the uterus is gone and the cervix is gone. So anyway, I had a healthy ovaries. He said they looked good. They were healthy. There was nothing wrong with them. So he left them. Surgery was, I asked the anesthesiologist when he came in if I could have something for nerves before going back to the OR, because I didn't want to see the OR. I wanted to be like out of it, for them to wheel me in there, so I didn't really look around and see all the equipment and the big light and all that stuff. And you know, they fasten your arms down and they put that thing over your face, and I didn't want to go through all that. So he said that he couldn't give me Versed before I went back, but when I got back there he'd give it to me, so that I'd kind of go out for all the other stuff going on. So I rode back to the OR on my gurney, on a little stretcher, got over on the table. They said, we're going to put both your arms out, you know, so you put them out to the sides. Already had my IV and everything, fluids going in, and they said, we're going to put some things on your legs, and they're going to go above your knees. They were the really long ones, and they felt good. I actually like those. He said, we're going to put these on, and he said, and then the anesthesiologist said, I promised you some sedative, so I'm going to go ahead and give you that. So I was just laying there on the table, looking up at the light, the big light that they use, and I was just looking at it and looking at it, and then it started to go fuzzy, and kind of, It was fuzzy and just kind of looked weird. And I was like, oh, here it comes. Here comes the Versed. Good night. And I closed my eyes and I was out. That was it. It only took like a minute or less for it to take effect once he gave it to me. And I don't remember. And they put me that mask over my face. They didn't put it on like tight. They just kind of like laid it on my face. I could get high O2 while I was going to sleep. And 2.5 hours later, I was in the recovery room. Don't remember a thing about the recovery room at all. I don't know if they just kept me out. I do remember waking up and gagging, like coughing and gagging, which I don't get sick from anesthesia. I don't like vomit or anything. I think it was the tube was still down my throat. So once I started to kind of gag and cough, they took that out. But I don't really remember them taking it out. I just kind of remember waking up like itching, like a gag reflex, and that's it. And I don't really even remember just waking up. I just kind of remember that little second. And that's it. And then up in my room, one of my friends from school came to see me. My fiance, of course, was there all day with me. And I remember bits and pieces of it, but, you know, nothing that's really important. So 2 weeks tomorrow will be from my hysterectomy. I'm not lifting things. I've taken off 2 weeks of school, so I'll go back next week. I've taken off 2 weeks of clinical, and I'm gonna get one of those hot, my face getting hot. So it's really not been that bad. I made it 10 or 11 days, and then I started spotting, which freaked me out a little bit. When I left the hospital, they told me that I could spot for 4 to 6 weeks, that I could have some blood. If it's not really a lot of blood and it's not bright red blood, don't worry about it so much. Just kind of take care of it. You know, wear a pad if you need to. No tampons or anything like that. Just a panty liner or a pad. Which I really haven't even had to do that because it's not that much. It's just kind of like a when you wipe kind of thing. It's there. I've had the day after surgery, I didn't have a bowel movement, but the day after that I did, and it was painful. Like there was a certain spot, like when you needed to go to the bathroom, or like when gas would pass a certain spot in my stomach, it would hurt. And I think it was like the vaginal cuff, like it was rubbing that or something. But that doesn't hurt like that anymore. And I've gone from going every day to every other day. Still taking my stool softener, but I was taking that before because of the VSG, my issues with that, and Miralax and stuff, but I haven't had any Miralax since surgery. And anyway, so everything's going well. There's some spotting, which is annoying. I still hurt some. There was only 3 incisions, one to the left of my belly button. I had my tubes tied almost 18 years ago, and when he cut me from my inside my belly button down about this far. So rather than going in my belly button, he went to the left of it so he wouldn't get into that scar tissue. And then 2 incisions that are really way down low, like almost in the groin, almost in the fold where your thigh and your stomach meet, in that groin crease almost. Not quite down that far, but pretty close. Maybe about 1 inch up from that. I mean, it's really low. So they'll pretty much be covered, and they're little. I mean, they're really little. There's 3. He did a laparoscopic assist vaginal hysterectomy. So what that means basically is they cut the 3 incisions. One of them, of course, like a camera, and one of them they put something in to put the CO2 in your stomach, the gas. And I don't know exactly what all they do. You can look it up on YouTube here and you can see the surgery, but they put the 3 things, and then they take out, because they took the tube, if they just took the uterus and the cervix, they could have done it vaginally, but because they actually took a tube and they thought they might have to take an ovary, they needed to see the ovaries, so they had to put scopes in my stomach. I'm glad he didn't have to open me up, but if he did, he did. I mean, there wasn't anything I could do about it, but I'm glad he didn't have to. I had glue instead of stitches or staples, and the glue came off for me in a week. But they're healed. I won't show you the incisions, but there's only 3. So I'm still sore. I'm still tired easy. But it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow, so yay. There's a lot of emotional things that go along with having a hysterectomy, even though I knew I didn't want any more children, because I had my tubes tied right after my second son was born, and he'll be 18 in May. So, I mean, I've had this done for a while. I knew I was done having children, but it was an emotional process at the beginning, but I think it was more excitement, because, I mean, you bleed for 8 days, you go 16 without, and then you bleed for 10. That's a rough cycle. You start doing that over and over, and each time the days that I would go in between would be less. So the 16 that with this last time could have been 14 the next time, or 10, or, I mean, because it kept getting less. It was 6 weeks that I'd go without a period, down to 28 days, down to 16 days. Who knows what it would have been this month, or next month, or the month after that, you know. So all in all, I'm very excited. I'm very happy. People do have complications from this. So far, I haven't had any, but, you know, I am walking around. I haven't walked a whole lot, and I don't try to lift a lot, but I do try to be active. Even if it's just getting up from the living room, walking into the bathroom, walking to the kitchen to get a drink. I am going up and down the steps. I slept in Mom's recliner, 4 nights. 3 nights I slept in a recliner. The 4th night I slept in her bed all night. The one night I tried to sleep in the bed all night, but I couldn't. I slept about 4 hours, and then I woke up with a lot of pressure and pain, so I got up to sit in the chair. Slept in the chair for another 3 or 4 hours, and then laid back down again to try. Actually, I didn't sleep that 3 or 4 hours in the chair. I just kind of sat there, but then I laid back down and slept like another 3 hours or so. So I was trying to get into the bed, and then the next night I slept in the bed all night, and I've been sleeping in my bed since. So it was 3 weeks before I could sleep in the bed after the VSG, because I was so weak and so tired. But this one, I'm recovering faster and better, I think. Even though there is still some pain. I do take Tylenol at night, but I try not to take it too much during the day, because I don't want to be completely pain-free. If I'm still, they gave me Percocet, and I never did take them. I took a little bit of Motrin, and the only reason I took the Motrin is because I got this bad shoulder pain, like the gas. Oh, it was awful. It was worse than my stomach. But I do try to not take Tylenol during the day, because if I'm still healing to the point where I'm hurting, I want to remind myself that I can't do things. Like, if I'm feeling good, but I need to remind myself there's certain things I shouldn't do and I can't do. So I don't mind having a little bit of pain as a reminder to slow down, because sometimes I don't want to. So anyway, I will see you guys later, and thank you for all the people that have contacted me and checked in on me. But I'm doing well, and I'm excited. I've lost 4.5 pounds well, when I came out of the hospital, I'd gotten up to like 256, according to their scale. And now I'm at 250 something, 250 point something. So I've lost 4.5, 5 pounds maybe. So it's time to get back on track, and once I can start working out, once he clears me for working out and stuff, it's time to get back on track and get the rest of this off. So anyway, see you guys soon. Love you. Rate, subscribe, comment. I do try to answer comments. If they're nasty comments, I'll delete them. So, anyway, because I just don't have time for nasty people. See y'all soon. Bye.